My name's Jeff Olson. I work at Bethel University. I'm going to stand behind these folks and just make faces and things. Is it possible to dim the first row of lights, or is that going to get the whole room dark? I don't know how to get rid of these two things over here, so if you don't mind, just ignore those. That's not part of the presentation. I'm here on behalf of the Minnesota Office of Higher Education to talk with you briefly about financial aid. We're going to go through in 10 minutes what I often will do in about 45 minutes, so this is a real abbreviated version. Although a week ago I was working with a group of Somali parents, and I was given 8 minutes with a translator to talk with them. That was a really, really great presentation. Make sure you have a copy of the Paying for College publications. If you grab one on the way in, make sure you got one on the way out. This, in my opinion, is the best resource about financial aid for students who live or are growing up in Minnesota. There's information in there about all of the different federal and state financial aid programs. There's information about tuition reciprocity. There's information about how you get an estimate of your financial aid eligibility. There's contact information on schools. Lots and lots of details. It's a wonderful resource about different types of financial aid eligibility.
Should be up there. And then the other one will slide over to the left. Yep.
Yep. There we go. This is what we're going to talk about in about the next 8 or 9 minutes. We'll go through about the FAFSA, where to find scholarships. We're going to talk a little bit about net price. Net price is where you want to tune in. You can skip the first couple of sections, but tune in on the net price conversation. And then we're going to talk about how you can determine how much you should pay, how much you might be borrowing as you're going to college, and give you some ideas on where to go for that information. The free application for federal student aid is a tool that's used all across the country to help determine eligibility for need-based financial aid eligibility. When you complete the free application for federal student aid, you do the FAFSA one time, and then you have that information sent to up to 10 different schools. Schools will use that information, and then they'll be able to go back to you and say, we think you're eligible for these different types of financial aid. Probably the two things to keep in mind when you're doing the FAFSA is, number one, go to fafsa.gov. One of my coworkers came by a few years back and she said, Jeff, I'm so embarrassed. My son, and she was saying she and her husband both worked in financial aid, but the youngest son went out and did his FAFSA on his own, and he went to fafsa.com. You just Google FAFSA, you're going to come up with fafsa.com, and you can pay about $80 to submit your free application for federal student aid if you go to fafsa.com. The key is you don't see the price until after you've entered in all of your data. And by that time, you're so tired of entering data in the system, you say, yes, I'll pay $80, so I don't have to come back and do it again. The free application for federal student aid is a free government form. So you're going to go to fafsa.gov. Number 2 on the FAFSA, answer all the questions to the best of your ability. Don't get concerned if you get stuck on a particular question. You can call the financial aid office. There's a 1-800 number. There's chat options built into the website, so you can talk with somebody about your FAFSA data. But it's important to answer all of the questions when you complete the free application for federal student aid. The reason families complete the FAFSA is that's a tool to help determine eligibility for some of the need-based financial aid. And all students who want to borrow a loan need to fill out the free application for federal student aid if they want the federal loan. Beside that, families want to look for other types of gift aid, grants and scholarships. Private scholarships, John, I'm sure, will have information to be able to share about the opportunities through the community. Take advantage, search for those private scholarships. This website at the bottom of the slide, finaid.org scholarships, that's one of the places where you can go online and log into a search engine where for free you can enter attributes about yourself, about your student, and then it gives you ideas of where you can apply for scholarships. I sat down with my daughter a year ago and we just took about 20 minutes. She entered in information, and over the next hour then we reviewed lots of different possibilities where she could apply for scholarships. Not all of them were a good match, but it's an idea to know where to look for those scholarship opportunities. In terms of looking for financial aid, the big question is, where should I apply? Well, look where the money is. This is showing you in calendar year 2011 the types of grants and scholarships that were offered to Minnesota undergraduate students. There was $1.5 billion that was offered to undergraduate students in the state of Minnesota during 2011. Of that, a little less than half of the money came from the colleges and universities. So when you're saying, where is the scholarship, where's the grant aid? Check at the colleges and universities. Find out what type of scholarship opportunities they provide. Find out what the deadlines are, and make sure you get your information turned in before the deadline. My daughter last fall was applying to a private college in Minnesota. She wanted to apply for a music scholarship and went to the website, and we were surprised to see that the deadline for this music scholarship was in November of her senior year. So we were well in advance of what we were thinking of just as a family of what those deadlines might be. So those of you who are parents of sophomores, juniors, you've got plenty of time. Great to go check out those school websites and find out what are their deadlines on the scholarship opportunities. Those of you who are seniors, it's still November. It's not too late. So go home tonight and pull up those screens, see what's available. The blue here is the need-based gift aid. Typically, it's the federal Pell Grant, and you apply for that by completing the free application for federal student aid. So complete the FAFSA, you're applying for Pell Grant eligibility. The white is the Minnesota State Grant. How do you apply for that? You complete the free application for federal student aid. So complete the FAFSA and check with the schools to find out what type of scholarship opportunities are available there. And you've covered about 90% of the different places where you're going to find some type of gift aid available for your student. Checking at the schools and then completing the free application for federal student aid. That other 10%, you might say, well, that's only 10%. It's still $69 million for students in the state of Minnesota. So take time to apply for those private scholarships. When you talk about getting to this question, I said perk up your ears when we talk about net price. It's very, very, very important to understand how do you determine what the net price is for a school. The net price is the formula defined by the federal government. Cost of attendance minus gift aid equals net price. What goes into the cost of attendance? You begin with tuition and fees. And you can see here the average tuition and fees in 2012, 2013, the different sectors of higher education in Minnesota. In general, you take that tuition and fee component, and you're going to pay that directly to the school. And then there's other expenses like transportation, housing, food, your books and supplies, personal items. And that might vary from school to school, but it's typically in the range of $10,000 to $15,000 per year. You may not pay that to the school, but it's kind of living expenses you're going to incur whether you're in college or not in many cases. Add together the tuition and fees and these other expenses, and that becomes the sum of the cost of attendance. So when we talk about net price, the big challenge is how do you figure out what that net price is? Sit down at a computer, pull up some type of browser, and search for the name of your school, University of Minnesota Twin Cities, and then put in net price calculator. Bemidji State University, net price calculator. Hit enter, and within the first 3 or 4 entries on your screen, you will likely see the link for the website for each of those colleges, and you'll be able to go right to their website to complete their net price calculator. It's a federal requirement that all colleges have a net price calculator on their website that you can go to, enter in a little bit of information about yourself, and you'll get a basic idea of what that net price is. Now remember, net price is total cost of attendance minus gift aid. And so here is, I just went to 5 different schools and Googled their net price calculators, entered in information about a Minnesota student whose parents are married. It's a family of 4 with 1 in college. Family income was about $30,000 per year. The student was I don't remember what I used for ACT. I think I used like a 25 ACT for academic information. And then this is the information that I received back from the website. Century College, their total cost of attendance, right here, the total cost of attendance was $23,782. Their net price, $18,486. Would anyone here have thought it cost $18,000 plus to go to Century College? Anybody? No, I was amazed. But keep in mind what we're looking at. We tend to want to look at that bottom line number. The cost of attendance at Century College, that $23,782, how much of that is tuition and fees? Less than $5,000. And the rest are those indirect costs. About $1,000 of that is books and supplies. $12,000 is for living expenses. You've got a chunk in there for transportation. You've got a chunk for personal expenses. So $19,000 of that almost $24,000 are indirect expenses that in many cases, if students are living at home, they may not be paying that out, unless they're paying some rent to mom and dad, but I doubt that most students going to Century are paying $12,000 a year in rent to their parents. So you look at the net price for Century College, it can be misleading if you just jump down and look at that bottom line and draw the conclusion that it's going to cost you $18,000. When we actually look at the direct tuition cost of about $4,600, $4,700 and the amount of gift aid, in this case it's Minnesota State Grant and Federal Pell Grant, there is more state and Pell Grant than there is tuition for this student to go to Century College. So as you're looking at these net price calculators, take time to consider, do I think I'm going to have to pay out all of those expenses that are included in the total cost of attendance? Now, if you look at Bethel University, that $18,000 is more reasonable if you're living on campus, because you're going to be paying room and board in going to a residential college. Same idea with the St. Cloud State University. If you're living on campus, that might be a more reasonable dollar amount. Net price calculator is a wonderful tool to give you a ballpark idea of what you think might be available. The other thing to consider with the net price calculators is most consultants, as they're working with the colleges and universities, they advise the schools not to put in the preferred aid in these types of tools. So if you're going to a school and you're going to be applying for an athletic scholarship, the net price calculator is not going to help you know about eligibility for an athletic scholarship or some other type of competitive scholarship. This is just kind of your plain vanilla version based on the information you submitted, what you might expect to receive and gift aid. When you think about going to college, sometimes you ask the question, why bother going? What difference will it be? What type of return on investment will there be for my investing the time and money to get the college education? This is information from the U.S. Census Bureau, and it's 2011 data. You can see at the bottom of the chart there, those with less than a high school diploma, in 2011, 14% of those individuals were unemployed. And their median weekly earnings was $451. And then as you go up the scale of additional education, you can see how the unemployment rate goes down and the median weekly earnings goes up. No guarantees, but it's just one indication of the value of investing in education beyond high school. This particular website, the studentloan.gov website, I was just exposed to this last week at Bethel University when one of my colleagues was doing a presentation. And this is an absolutely wonderful source. Lots and lots of data on this website. The studentloans.gov, the financial awareness counseling. And what you can go through there is you can estimate what will my budget be when I graduate. You can have a connection there to the U.S. Department of Labor and Statistics, where you can identify by career how much are people going to earn in these different careers. And you can blend those pieces together. How much do I think I'm going to pay for college? How much do I think I'm going to earn when I get out of college? How much do I think I might have to borrow while I'm in school? Am I going to be able to earn enough to pay back that debt, that investment in my future education? Wonderful resource. It'll take some time to work through it, but it's a great opportunity to sit down again with your child and help them to wrestle with these issues of how much is it going to cost to go to college, and should I borrow? If so, how much borrowing is too much? If you didn't get a copy of the presentation, my email address is here, jeff-olson@bethel.edu, jeff-olson@bethel.edu. Send me an email. I'd be happy to send this to you if you didn't get that. But thank you very much.